Hey everyone, Josh here with a look at another Star Wars toy. And today we are looking at a toy from Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And this is Anakin Skywalker's Pod Racer. And I'm sure all of you remember this from the first prequel movie. This was during the pod race scene, this was Anakin's vehicle that he built by himself. And I'm going to go ahead and pick it up and bring it a little bit closer to the camera so we can get a good look at it. But before we do that, I want to show you we got one actually in the box. And I'll show you guys a quick viewing of the box up close. It's pretty big, so it's kind of hard to get on screen. But there you can see what the packaging looks like, and it does come with an Anakin figure. And to be completely honest with you, there isn't a whole lot to the packaging. It's really just a black box with a picture of the vehicle. And there is a little description there on the back, and I'm going to go ahead and read that to you. The high-speed, adrenaline-packed pod races in Mos Espa are immensely popular events for the local populace. The pilots of these pod racers must have lightning reflexes and nerves of plasteel, especially for the Bunta Eve race at Mos Espa Arena. Here, Mos Espa's best maneuver through a perilous course that winds its way through narrow canyons and tunnels, facing incredible odds and vicious competition. A victory for the young competitor Anakin Skywalker would make him Mos Espa's best pod racer. And over here, if you look, you can see it's telling you some of the features of the pod racer. And it says press button to open directional vents and activate air brakes. And that's the packaging. We'll push that out of the way for now. And we'll bring the actual pod racer in here. And I'll try to get it as close to the camera I can in what we're talking about. Now here in the first part, you can see the actual pod, I guess, the cockpit or the pilot's part of the pod racer. And you can see Anakin's in there, and he is removable, and I'll go ahead and take him out. And it's pretty simple. He just pulls right out, and you can see he has the pod racer helmet on, and that is permanently fixed on there. It does not come off. And as you can see, his arms are in kind of an awkward position, and they only move at the shoulder joint because he's supposed to, that's how he's going to hold the throttle of his pod racer. So you can see his arms are kind of in a awkward position, but that's fine. And he does move at the waist, and his legs do move because, of course, you have to be able to sit him in the pod racer. And he does have a little tiny bit of head movement, but it's mostly due to the helmet and all the parts hanging off of it. That's why he can't. His head doesn't turn all that well. But there you can see him. And I want to kind of give you guys a chance to get a good look at the actual pod. There you can see in it. And see, there's his throttle controls. That's why his hands are these little sticks right here. That's why his hands are in an awkward, or his arms are in an awkward position. But there you can see the top of it, and it has these little, I guess these would be air brakes as well, and they don't do anything. They just flap open for looks. There's not much to them. And that's it. They're not spring-loaded or anything. The pod itself doesn't actually move on the on these, what appear, they look like similar to hinges, but they're permanently mounted in there. But that's how it's attached. And one of the things that's kind of interesting about this, if you look, this first part of the pilot's carriage is plastic, and then when you get down here, this black piece is actually a solid piece of metal. And it is, you can actually, if you look here on top of the engine, you'll see there is these little pegs that, I wish this thing would focus better. Okay, there we go. You can see the little pegs, and what you do, and I don't think it's supposed to do this for any practical reasons other than fitting it in the box, but you can actually pull the pins out, and the pod is actually removable. Now, what the reason for doing that is, other than so you can fit it in the box, I'm not totally sure. But you can see the whole thing, you can disassemble it. And then you have the actual engines. And you can see it has the energy beam here, and this is actually removable too, and I think it's just because it's so fragile, but you just kind of bend it and it pulls out, and that's what it looks like up close. It's just a little piece of plastic that's flexible, so you can fit it back in there. And then you'll see, when you look at the engines, you'll see there's this big bar in the middle, and what that is so you can actually hold it while you're playing with it. And then you'll see there's these two triggers on here, and what those do is they open the air brakes. So if you're looking at it head on and you pull one of the triggers, you'll see they spread open, and they're calling these air brakes. And when you pull this trigger, you'll also see this little flap here closes, and it does it on both sides. So you have the little flasher vent, and that will close, and the air brakes open. So that's what happens when you pull the triggers. And you have, each engine has its own trigger, so you can do them separately or do them both at the same time. But that's how it works. And I'll go ahead and spin it all the way around so you guys can check out all sides of it. And other than the vent, or the air brakes and the flash vents there aren't any other moving parts. Of course, the rotary of the engine actually spins. And if you look at the bottom of it, you'll see it actually has these big skid plates, which actually comes in handy when you set it down. It sits on the skid plates, but that's all the basic functions of the pod racer. And to reassemble it, it's real easy. And what you're going to do is put the pegs right in the holes, and you just push until they bottom out, and there you go. The pod racer is attached again with the metal rods, and that's what gives you the springy effect. And of course, we want to put our energy binders back in. I believe that's what he called it in the movie. But you just put it in one side, you bend it till it fits, and you squeeze it in the other side. And there you go. Your pod racer is reassembled. And then all you're going to want to do next is, of course, put Anakin in. And since he came with the vehicle, he actually fits in here pretty well. So that's good. Oops, we popped one of the vents off. And it just snaps back on. There's nothing to it. But there he is, everyone. There is your Anakin Skywalker pod racer from Star Wars Episode 1. And thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.